today we are going to look at what your past life could have been based on difficulties in your life. Strange, right? Hello, hello, hello. It's Caroline Chapman. I'm author of When We Were Gods, which is a chronicle of my past life memories of Atlantis. Now, when I went to the hypnotherapist to lose weight, I was surprised to end up with past life memories. She put me in a deep hypnosis and into past life regression. And it was in these past lives that I learned something about the difficulties in this life because I had gone to the hypnotherapist to lose weight. And I was suffering from a hormonal imbalance after a miscarriage. So I was gaining weight at the rate of a pound a day. And I'd gone to 4 doctors, didn't get any help, and was hopeful that hypnotherapy was going to help me. Well, to my surprise, part of the reason for my problems with overweight in this lifetime had to do with a past life in which I had laughed at a young man who was fat. So it was as if the problem in this lifetime came from what had occurred in a past lifetime. And I was getting to see, in our society, it's it there's a lot of mocking and laughing about people being overweight. I mean, there's billion-dollar industries about helping people to lose weight because it's such a terrible thing. If a person, some people are distraught because they're 10 pounds overweight, or not even that they're 10 pounds overweight, they've gained 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever. And it's so terrible in Western society to have any weight, extra weight on you at all. So I got to see in this lifetime what it's like to be mocked for something that I had done in a past life. So that's why I suggest take a look at the difficulties in your life. So if you have something in your life that nowadays people make fun of because of it. Maybe it's because you're overweight. Maybe it's because you're super tall, super thin, super short, because you're gay, have funny hair. All these things could be the result of your attitude towards someone else in a past life. Now, I've read in preparation for today's session, I read Many Mansions by Gina Saramanara or Saramanera. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name. Many Mansions is the name of the book. It's a great book. And it's a book written on what was learned in the psychic readings of Edgar Casey. Do you know who Edgar Casey is? He died in 1945, so his life was a while ago. And I found his life very interesting because he had a problem, which was that he could not speak. And not from when he was born, but at a certain time in his life, he couldn't speak. I'm just telling you sort of the long story of how he got to give readings for people's past lives. And so he first started that he himself couldn't speak. So there was a hypnotherapist going around, and people were getting help from hypnotherapy. But when he went to the hypnotherapist to get help so he could speak again, the hypnotherapist couldn't hypnotize him. He tried a number of times and it just didn't work. So then somebody made the suggestion, do you think that Edgar could hypnotize himself? And so he tried that. He sort of put himself to sleep. And when he went to sleep, he could speak, and he explained what was wrong with him and the reason why he couldn't speak. And he made the suggestion that I think he asked someone to make the suggestion that he increase the circulation in his throat. And the people who were watching, he was relatively young, so it was I think his father and his mother, and maybe a grandmother and a brother or sister, something like that. They saw his throat actually turning red as the circulation was increased. And then when he came out of the hypnosis, he could speak as well. Well, and if you've ever lived in a small community, you know everybody knows your business right away. So after people heard how he had cured himself, then people came to him and said, "Would you try to go to sleep and help my daughter or help me or my wife or whatever?" And he was reluctant to do it, but people were very sincere in needing help. And so he did go to sleep. And it turned out that he would give these accurate, what were called readings, psychic readings, about what was the cause of the problem. And he would say what needed to be done for it to be resolved. He often suggested a session with an osteopath, and many people who were cured. So that was a great thing. Well, as more and more people came to him, then there were astrological suggestions. And in one of these readings, he made the statement, was for a man, he used to be a monk. And nobody really knew what that meant. But then a little while later, somebody made the suggestion, could he help people by finding out what their past lives were? And it turned out he could. So then he would give readings for someone. So, for example, somebody had been blinded in an accident in this lifetime. And then he was asked to give a life reading, which meant a reading that would include not only the physical problems, but also the past life reasons for it. And he said that this person who in this lifetime had been in an accident and lost their sight, in a past life, he had been someone who poked the eyes out of people, like I assume enemies. This was part of warfare, or maybe part of um, torture. Yeah, people do this stuff, I think, even now in military situations or whatever. Anyway, and so in this lifetime, he was having to deal with the consequences of the actions he performed in the past to someone else. So, therefore, if you are dealing with some kind of difficulty in your life in the present, I already talked about mine with these problems I've had with overweight, and especially the hormonal imbalance I had after my miscarriage. Maybe you could consider then in a past life, you had hurt someone or mocked someone like I had, been inconsiderate, laughed at someone who was hurting badly. Certainly makes you, anyway, it makes me rethink how in this lifetime I sometimes say nasty things to people who just can't manage any better the way, something that might hurt me. I feel justified then that I can be unkind in my response. But what I was learning from that book is that whatever the justification, it comes back to you. Now, it may make you wonder, does that mean that everybody who's handicapped, everybody in a difficult situation because of an accident. Does that mean that all these people were really bad in their past life? No. That book, Many Mansions, also addresses it. And basically, it says that anybody who is alive has things in their past lives, probably many things in their past lives, that they need to atone for, basically, forgive themselves for what they have done. And they may have many lifetimes. For example, one reading was for somebody during the time when Rome was so supreme. Remember, the gladiators would have to fight animals, or the Christians, they put lions against the Christians. Well, some of these wealthy Roman people watching this would laugh as the lion would rip the side of a person's body off. And so in this lifetime, they would have some kind of problem where maybe they were paralyzed or something like that. However, in these psychic readings that Edgar Casey gave, between the Roman lifetime and this lifetime, when they had the difficulties, they had many very nice, positive lifetimes. And when asked, he said that they needed those positive lifetimes to learn perseverance, integrity, kindness, and all the things that they would need to handle this atonement for what they had done so long ago. So that means if you are now living a relatively easy life, it doesn't mean you didn't do something in the past that eventually you're going to have to um, atone for. It just means that you're in a lifetime now when you are learning skills, developing skills, or having the opportunity to grow your soul muscle for a possible lifetime in the future where you have to deal with some really difficult issues. But by then, the senses, by then you will have the ability to handle it. All right. I don't see that there are any questions. The other thing that I found out in reading this book, say in a past life, you got, I love to watch murder mystery movies. And I especially like the series by Louise Penny about Armand Gamache, the head of the Sûreté du Québec, the detective. And people will say, what kind of awful person was it that committed that murder? And he will say, anybody could commit a murder. They would get just so angry and just be so beside themselves that he says it's often just an instant thing they do. It's just something that just, they can't stand, something that has been building, 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 and something sets them off. And they shoot someone or hurt them or hit them or whatever they do. So, the thing why am I talking about murder mysteries now? It had something to do with what I was talking about before about hmm I honestly have lost. I should have written it down. What was my train of thought? I guess it had to do with all of us being capable. Oh, that in that lifetime, when it seems that when you're building your character or your soul muscle to handle a lifetime, a really difficult lifetime, to atone for something that you really, really regret for your past, that your soul really, really regrets that you did long ago in the past. In these coasting lifetimes, you also have these opportunities where instead of growing and learning, you may do something that makes everything worse. So even if you are now having a lifetime that's a relatively easy lifetime, like the problems you have are that you really wanted a turquoise blouse and you just couldn't find one in your size, and gosh, that's terrible. Well, that's a pretty easy lifetime. However, if the opportunity comes for you to belittle someone who doesn't even have the money to buy a blouse and is only buying um, thrift store ragged types of clothes, then here in the middle of this relatively easy lifetime, when you're developing perhaps patience or persistence, you go and lose it by making fun of somebody who you don't even know what their circumstances are. So that's one of the lessons that I learned from reading this book that I want to pass on with you and or to you, with you, talk to you. And one of the things I certainly learned as far as myself and that terrible time during the hormonal imbalance when I was gaining weight so fast that after a while I was having trouble fitting into a theater seat. And I started noticing the most bathroom doors are pretty narrow because I was getting so big. One of the things I did during that time was to start, even though the culture has bad things to say about people who are fat, I started to feel very kindly towards them instead of continuing the mocking attitude I'd had in the past life. And that meant being kind to myself as well. And noticing that I had nice eyes, I had nice hair, and getting as nice clothes as I could for myself, and trying to be loving to people, including myself, who didn't have everything and the best. All right. Well, I've enjoyed talking about these things with you. I hope it's of benefit for you, that it's helpful in your life. Now, this is the last live stream that I'm going to be doing on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to go back to making videos, which is what I used to do. I didn't do live streams. I used to make videos and then I would upload the video. So I've been, I did this series of videos by live stream, the series of live streams on how to know your past lives. So I might make some videos on this topic as well, but this is the last time I'm going to be doing a live stream on this topic. Now, next Thursday, which is May 11th, I'm going to be doing the last in my series of evidence of Atlantis in ancient ruins. And that's going to be on, like I said, Thursday, May 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're interested in Atlantis and ruins, I really invite you to come and share with me during that time. And the topic for the live stream on Thursday is going to be about the pharaoh's headdress and how it shows evidence of a connection with Atlantis. Well, thanks so much for being here. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.